tip number 16, checking the basics when starting a transaction. When you become involved in any type of a real estate transaction, it is important that you confirm one very important fact early in the transaction. Which city is this property located in? Basic, right? But it matters. Different cities have different requirements. In my escrow tip series tip number one, I talk about those cities which require city reports or pre-sale inspection reports. In my Art of Escrow series, I have one video about the cities who have costly transfer taxes. So when you are buying or handling a new transaction, first thing that you should be checking is the location of the property and whether there are any specific government regulations or other concerns that need to be taken into consideration. Like all my tips, I am sharing issues from a transaction that we handled. This one concerns solely the issue of location of the property. Now, the transaction was in Woodland Hills, California, and it was delayed by 1 month due to issues on the seller side. So on day 45 of a supposedly 30-day escrow, the seller's issues were resolved and we were finally ready to move forward with the buyer's lender and get loan documents and close. From the beginning, our escrow paperwork reflected the city as City of Los Angeles, Woodland Hills area. Now, escrow officers who handle transactions in the southern part of California know that the City of Los Angeles and the areas under its jurisdiction can be complicated. The city encompasses a huge area, and many of its environs, like Woodland Hills, Tarzana, and Encino, are well known under their own name, but they fall under the jurisdiction of the City of Los Angeles. They are not actually cities of themselves. So 45 days after the transaction was opened and 1 week before the closing, the lender's processor sends us an email. Help us update the file to the City of Woodland Hills. The appraiser is unable to update to state it is Los Angeles. End quote. What? The appraiser couldn't update his report to the City of Los Angeles? Where is this appraiser from? Then the underwriter sends us an email. Per USPS and public records, the subject's city name is Woodland Hills. Changing the city to Los Angeles would render the appraisal report non-UAD compliant. Therefore, the city name needs to be Woodland Hills. End quote. After numerous emails back and forth, this was our response. In summary, your underwriting and appraiser needs to check more thoroughly. We are not sure what they are checking against, but the county tax roll shows that the property is in the City of Los Angeles. It is considered the postal area of Woodland Hills, but it is actually in the City of Los Angeles. That is why there is a City of Los Angeles transfer tax to be paid in this transaction. Woodland Hills is not a city of itself. It is an area within the City of Los Angeles. The old-fashioned way that we confirm this is by going to a physical copy of the Thomas Guide, and everywhere that is colored white is in the City of Los Angeles. That includes Woodland Hills. If you don't have a Thomas Guide, then Google Woodland Hills. So what's the big deal, you ask? Well, there are certain things that stand out. When a new transaction comes in, an experienced escrow staff knows that the first thing to do is to verify the address. Transactions in Woodland Hills, Encino, Tarzana, Northridge, Reseda, Van Nuys, Canoga Park, just to mention some of them, all deserve special attention because we know that they are a part of Los Angeles. Not only do we need to list it as the City of Los Angeles, we also have to take into consideration the enormous sales transfer tax the city charges and the ordinance requiring the city pre-sale inspection reports. Now, loan brokers always ask us for a copy of our escrow instructions and the preliminary title report when they start the loan. But do they actually read the reports? You have any concerns about something as basic as a property address, ask the escrow officer for clarification right away. What was this processor and lender underwriting doing for the last 45 days while they waited for the seller to resolve their issues? Why was this underwriting condition brought out only 1 week before closing? Another concern. What does it mean the appraiser cannot correct the appraisal report? Isn't the address the first thing that the appraiser checks when they are starting their report and doing comparables? So here is my escrow tip number 16. Checking the basics when you start a transaction. This tip is particularly important for loan underwriters and processors. You get a file, you check to match the escrow paperwork and prelim to your loan opening paperwork. Questions to ask. Is the property within the jurisdiction of a certain city? Or is it in the unincorporated area of the county? Do you have the correct address, avenue, street, drive? Certainly there could be discrepancies, but these discrepancies need to be worked on right at the beginning, not at the end when the documents need to be drawn. Now, why am I featuring this issue? In my transaction, the drama surrounding the city location delayed the drawing of the loan documents by several days. The buyer had paid a $10,000 fee to extend the loan lock rate, and he was extremely unhappy at the reason why the documents could not be drawn at this 11th hour. There is nothing worse than being incompetent and getting caught at it. He will probably never use this loan broker or lender again. Now, if this were in San Francisco, we wouldn't have that problem, would we? Because the city and the county of San Francisco are one and the same. This is Juliana too, and thanks for watching.